Hey guys, it's Sloan, and this is my very first video for my movie remake review series. And I thought the perfect way to start this series would be to review the Emma movies. Seems like a great way to start. So I'm going to be reviewing the 1996 version of Emma with Gwyneth Paltrow, and then the 2020 version that just came out with Anya Taylor-Joy. Awesome. A little clarification, the way I review movies is I give them a total score out of 100. And I break that up into 10 concepts that I think are super important for what makes a movie a good movie. Those 10 concepts are plot, attraction, theme, acting, dialogue, cinematography, editing and effects, sound and music, directing, and the it factor. And those are just the 10 things that I think make a movie a good film. Awesome. I'm just going to get right into it. So for the 1996 Emma, I gave the plot a 9 out of 10. It was good. It was very clear what was happening. There was a good rise to the conflict and a good resolution. Not much more I can say. It was good. Attraction, I gave the old one a 6 out of 10. Personally, I'm not the biggest fan of Regency and Jane Austen films, but I like Gwyneth Paltrow, and it looked like a good movie. I've heard good things about it, so I thought, why not? It seemed fun. So I gave it a 6 out of 10. It was good. For theme, I gave it a 7 out of 10. I thought it did a good job at explaining the kind of themes of that time, of that period, of feminism in marriage, misogyny, that type of theme, feminism in that society of that time period that Jane Austen kind of likes to go off of. It was good. Acting, I gave it an 8 out of 10. The acting was good. I thought it was great. There were some really beautiful moments where it was very clear what the character was feeling, but it wasn't an acting choice. It felt real. It was good. I liked it. Not much more I can say. Dialogue, I gave the 1996 one a 6 out of 10. It wasn't my favorite. Don't get me wrong, it was fine. And this obviously is in time period of more classical dialogue. So considering that, obviously it's not going to come as naturally to me hearing it as it would to people who actually lived in that time. But there were a couple of moments where I wished there would have been more, especially in this time of mannerisms and propriety, where they can't really show much emotion physically, and they have to just use their words. I wish there would have been more moments of the words explaining kind of how the character felt and what was happening in the scene. There were a couple of places where I was just like, what? Yeah. Cinematography, I gave the old one a 5 out of 10. Again, it was made in 1996, so my standards might be different than it actually was for that time period. But yeah, there were a couple of scenes that were just weird. There were a couple of transitions that were like really long and pointless. I'm like, this has nothing to do with the story. I don't know why I'm staring at a field for 2 minutes. Seems unreasonable. Yeah, that's all. Editing and effects, I gave it a 7 out of 10. Again, 96. We've obviously come a long way. But all considering, there wasn't very much effect work that needed to be done for this movie. So it was good. Yeah. Sound and music, I gave the old one a 5 out of 10. It's not my favorite, I'm not gonna lie. I felt like the music was accurate for this time period. I just did not feel like it added to the story at all. I felt like they were so focused on making it accurate that it didn't make sense in the context of the scene and what was happening at that time. It's they'd be having a very serious scene and the most happy get along song would be playing and I'd be like, what? Why? Yeah. Directing, I gave it a 7 out of 10. Kind of along the same lines as acting. It was good. Yeah. And then the it factor. I gave it a 6 out of 10. There's not much more I can say. It was fun. It was a good movie. I wasn't super excited to watch it, but I was like, yeah, sure. That sounds fun. Why not? Why not? It was good. I like the people in it. Yeah. And that gives us a grand total of 66 out of 100. So, a pretty good movie. Had some highs, had some lows. Good all around. Moving on to the 2020 version. And just same thing all over again. For the plot, I gave it an 8 out of 10. It was good. I knew what was happening. Yeah. There were some moments where I was like, what? But I knew what was happening for the most part. Attraction, 6 out of 10. Same as before. This one, though, it is newer. It had just come out. So I had seen, obviously, like, previews for it. It had been talked up more. So that helped a little bit. But yeah, I'm not a big Regency person. So 6 out of 10. Theme, 7 out of 10. Same. I felt it addressed the same themes. It did a good job at demonstrating those themes. I felt like acting, I gave the new one a 6 out of 10. I was a little disappointed. I'm not gonna lie. I was expecting more from the people that I've seen in other things. I don't know if it had to do with the direction that they were receiving, but there were some moments where just the acting wasn't clear and it felt like they were just doing it because it was the actor's choice and not because it was the character's choice. Dialogue, 5 out of 10. Kind of the same thing as before. I just wish there had been a little bit more in some situations. Cinematography, I gave it an 8 out of 10. It was great. It was beautiful. There were clear decisions, and I understood what those clear decisions were, and it's beautiful. Editing and effects, 8 out of 10. Obviously, the editing now is better than in 96. But again, there weren't very many effects that needed to be done. So, all considering that, it was great. Sound and music, I gave it a 7 out of 10. It was definitely more clear why the music was there. The music felt more connected to what was happening in the scene while still being accurate. Directing, I gave the new one a 6 out of 10. Along the same lines as acting, they're just making random choices that I was a little confused by. And then the it factor, 7 out of 10. Again, this one was hyped up a little bit more. I saw the previews. Obviously did not see those before. But yeah, it was good. So that gives us a total of 68 out of 100. So old 66, new 68. Basically the same. They were both good movies. I thought they were great. I liked them both. They obviously had different things that I liked about them. They had good and bad things on opposite ends. The new one, I definitely liked the look of it. It was prettier, if that makes any sense. It had really good cinematography, and it had an excellent mise en scene. Just everything in the scene felt more purposeful, and it had a reason for being there instead of just to look cool. The props and the sets were beautiful, and they really added to the scene and the sense of reality. They felt a little bit more time period accurate and realistic. The camera placements were very well thought out. I was very impressed with that. And they definitely added to the scene and added to the character building without taking away. For example, there were a couple scenes where Emma was talking and she was very clearly the center of attention, and she knew that she was the center of attention. And she kind of knows this is her place. But she was not in the center of the screen. She was a little bit to the side. And I thought that was really interesting to think about the conflict in Emma personally, and the kind of that tension she has towards being the center of attention and knowing that she doesn't exactly belong in there. It was great. I thought it added well to the story. And the costumes were beautiful, but they weren't overwhelming. They were pretty to look at, and they were mostly time period accurate, but they weren't anything special. In the old one, some of the props felt a little overwhelming and out of place, and they didn't fit the nature of the events. There were some moments where it was like she's holding something, and I'm like, why is she holding something? I don't know. I don't see why she needs to be holding that. It doesn't have anything to do with the scene or the character or anything that's happening. And then I was really distracted by her fidgeting with this, and it didn't mean anything. So there were a couple of those, and it was kind of weird. But overall, the props in the back, they were fine. In the new one, kind of the same thing. There were a couple of moments where the beauty of the world overshadowed the acting just a little bit. It's just so pretty. But overall, it was good. I lost my place. In the old one, I really admired the acting choices. It felt lighthearted and fun, and I think the choices that Gwyneth Paltrow made to display Emma were great. She was fun and open, and she was enjoying life, but it was also clear the changes in her when she started to come upon these problems that she had never experienced before, and how she saw the world changed. Her view towards the world shifted, and she viewed it a little bit more seriously. Emma was someone who was perfectly content in life, and she never had any serious problems until they all happened all at once, just like how it actually happens in life. And so I felt like the choices that she made to reflect that were excellently portrayed, and yeah, it was great. I also really liked the Mr. Knightley in the old one. I could clearly see his emotions towards Emma. In the new one, it was all very solemn, beginning to end. There was really no emotional battle or change. At least it wasn't as clear, because I was looking for it, and I was really intently looking for it, and I knew what to look for, because I already kind of knew the story. Then it was a little bit more clear, and I could kind of see it. But if I had not known anything about the story, or if I had never known it, or if I wasn't actively looking, I don't think it would have been as clear, and I would have been a little more confused until the end of the movie when they finally said what was happening. Emma had never really seemed content or lighthearted in the beginning, and it made it a little bit hard to see a shift in her emotions when these problems started to arise. She just kind of was stagnant the whole way, and it was kind of the same with Mr. Knightley. I never saw any emotional change at all. Just kind of kept on living. In the old one, there were some funky shots. Yeah, some of the camera shots seemed weird. Again, the really long transitions. I'm like, why? Where we're looking at one person and someone else is talking, but I don't know who's talking because they never showed me who it was. So I don't know that they're talking until the person who's sitting there not saying anything says their name. And then I go, oh, that was them. Or we'd be looking at a prop that had nothing to do with the scene, and Emma was all the way in the back talking to someone else, and I didn't know why we were looking at a prop. Yeah, there were some funky things, but that was only a couple times. but overall it's good. Again, I liked both of them. I thought they were great. They were fun. They were fun to watch. I definitely liked them for different reasons. I thought they both had good and bad things about them. I definitely would recommend both of these movies, and I think if you were to watch them, I recommend you watch both of them. But yeah, they're fantastic. And this, I guess, concludes my review for Emma, starting my movie remake review series. All right. If you like this review, make sure you like and subscribe. And awesome. I'll see you guys next time for the next one.